everybody! So here is Black Angel again, and I'm here to talk to you about INTJs. So who are INTJs? First of all, INTJs are introverted intuition dominants. So what does it mean to be introverted intuition dominant? Introverted intuition dominants are people that are very in tune with processes happening inside of other people or machines or whatever the case may be. They sense cause and effect. They have a specific ability to spot cause and effect events in events. So they are able to predict and forecast long-term events or how situations or things may develop, or where the situation or the current situation may come from. So they are in tune with what has been and what will be. Introverted intuition, contrarily to extroverted intuition that we've seen in ENTPs, spots one specific possible consequence, and they attach to that, they grasp to that, and they're going to consider it the only solution possible. The difference between extroverted intuitives and introverted intuitives is that extroverted intuitives tend to ponder a rose or a fan of possibility, a bunch of possibility. Whereas introverted intuitives start doubting one possible answer and stick to that. So that's the characteristic of introverted intuition. They spot that possible consequence, so that's that possible option, and they grow attached to it, and they start doubting this one option. So, for example, an INTJ may say, if you jump on the roof of a car, you will break the roof of the car. So they're going to be extremely sure of the consequence. One thing that is particularly interesting about INTJs specifically is that their forecastings are always negative. That's a characteristic of INTJs that we will see a little bit better when we will talk about their introverted feeling in the tertiary position. But anyway, yeah, that's something to consider. INTJs only forecast possible negative outcomes. It's a type characteristic. So if you have someone that does this thing of spotting a possible future consequence and sticks to that, and it's positive, that's going to be an INFJ. If they spot a consequence and it's systematically negative, then that's going to be an INTJ. Obviously, we're always talking about human beings, so it is possible that one day, they wake up and for some silly reason they say something positive. But it's extremely rare because it would actually destroy their internal situation. It would destroy their state of mind and their positivity in some way. INTJs are an extremely gloomy type, so that's one thing to keep into account. They never talk in positives. That's one distinctive trait of INTJs. They are extremely negative in nature. And they actually are proud of it. That's a characteristic they go proud of. So nothing major to blame on me. I'm just saying what the type looks like. So yeah, what else can we say? They are extroverted thinking creatives. So second position, we find extroverted thinking. What does it mean to have extroverted thinking in the second position? First of all, we need to say what extroverted thinking is. Extroverted thinking is a focus on facts, data, and the external order, the order of the external world. So the organization of the external world. So for a TE personality type, it is always going to be extremely important that the external world is organized a specific way and that organization is not disrupted. This is extremely important because it applies also to mentality, to the way of thinking. So extroverted thinking is expansive thinking. It means the idea, the opinion that everybody shares. INTJs are creative in this realm, so it means that they make of this ability or this understanding of expansive thinking their area of creativity. It means that they are the most in-depth and the most capable type, or one of the most capable actually, to analyze facts and data. So through they come to an understanding of everything through their introverted intuition. So they see how things could develop and where things could have come from through their introverted intuition, and then they give the data, the possible data connected to this potential event that is going to this possible event that is going to happen over time, and why it's going to happen that way. So they are extremely good at using the common mentality also to extract and extrapolate data about the current situation in a specific environment. They are anyway not particularly sociable. Do not think that because they use extroverted thinking and they have this ability to integrate in society and to be part of a big whole where everybody thinks the same, that they automatically are going to do that. It's not that way. They're actually a pretty isolated type, and their isolation comes from their weakness in feeling. There is a specific reason why INTJs are so isolated that we will talk about again when we will talk about their feeling functions. Anyway, their extroverted thinking also makes them researchers. They are extremely thirsty of information. They enjoy reading bulks of information and gathering information. Not systematically though. When we use our creative function, our auxiliary function, what we actually do is use it sporadically when we feel that there is the need to do that. So they're thirsty of information about whatever topic they consider important for a specific reason. That's what they actually are. Unlike ENTJs that we will see shortly enough. So that's what an INTJ does. They're very attached to culture, knowledge, to gathering data, not necessarily understanding this data. The understanding of information for an INTJ happens subconsciously. If an INTP spends most of their time consciously putting an effort into understanding anything that is placed in front of them, what happens to an INTJ instead is that they have in front of them these bulks of information, and they gather these bulks of information in their heads, and they subconsciously elaborate them and create an understanding that they explain again via comparison with other data, but never using abstract logic. So they can use, for example, a lot of examples. They can apply their knowledge to specific situations. They can report something they've read about the topic, or they can go in depth about some study that they have read or heard about on that specific topic that they're talking about. But their explanations are always going to be via data, via information, via factual information. That's what extroverted thinking is about. One thing that both INTJs and ISTJs consider extremely important is the order of the external world, which both means keeping everything in its place and how everything is organized. So if books are organized that specific way on that shelf, they're always going to have to be located the same position, and nothing should be changed, because that's a matter of efficiency. Another thing that we can combine with extroverted thinking is the idea of efficiency. The interesting thing about efficiency in INTJs and ENTJs is that they prefer discussing about efficiency so that they can come to the application of their understanding or their thought efficient way, rather than acting without organizing. Again, the external world must be one. They have to be all organized the same way, because otherwise it's not efficient for an extroverted thinker. That's what they are. Again, INTJs are not particularly anal about this thing, because they can switch off their extrovert thinking. So if there is a situation in which they think that the external order is not efficient for the purpose that it should reach, then they're probably going to abandon for a moment that one order of things externally, and they're going to create a new one. That's one thing to consider about INTJs. We will see the same thing in ISTJs. So this external order, when it comes to an intuitive type, so we're talking about INTJs, when it comes to INTJs, needs to be applied to areas of knowledge. So the order of the external world matters to them specifically when it comes to the subject that they're studying, their ideas, concepts, science. It is mostly applied anyway to their opinion, the area of ideas, and not to the material world. The material world is a sensor area, so an ESFP, for example, may be more anal about the external order of things in the environment than an INTJ is, despite the INTJ's extrovert thinking being much stronger. That is something to keep into account. Plus, we've seen that extrovert thinking for an ESFP is a matter of self-esteem, so that also makes it very important to them. So now we can talk about their inferior function. Extroverted sensing in the inferior position means that INTJs are followers. They do have the potential to be leaders, and they surely have the ability to be leaders in many circumstances, but that's not the position they're going to aim to or go for. They are more likely followers, and that's due to their inferior extroverted sensing. So they tend to do as they're told and follow the ideas that the will of other people. They are attracted to people of strong will, and they're attracted to very strong individual. They're attracted to power. They will want to be in areas and situations where there is power. Having that strong extroverted thinking, so secondary extroverted thinking, they will also try to do everything in their power to actually obtain monetary power. That's very important for an INTJ, to gather money, to have money, because money represents power. So the combination power-money in these types is particularly strong. They are, in fact, the most workaholics and the most addicted to the idea of power and reaching goals than any other quadra. So they are the most, how do I say it? They are the most focused on that topic. And that's their extroverted sensing inferior function. What else? Their feeling function is introverted feeling. They are introverted feeling tertiary, and this means that their self-esteem revolves around their internal feelings of attraction, repulsion. If they love, they are good people. If they don't love, they feel like they're not good people. So what is important for an INTJ is to constantly have the feeling or the idea to be able to love. That's what matters for an INTJ. Their self-esteem revolves around that. They have a tendency to be extremely nihilistic as a type, and therefore their tendency to see everybody and everything negative and to express their negative emotions over their positive emotions always gives them this feeling that they're incapable of feeling love for the external world. Because, like, again, they cannot find anything in the external world that actually gives them the strength to love the external world the way it is. So they have two ways out of this. So one is to understand that the world is not perfect and love it the way it is, accept it that way and go without hard feelings. Or the other way that they have is to build an imaginary world where everything is perfect and then go in the external world without strong feelings, because anyway they have this ideal world that they have created. It can be a guild in a game or whatever the case may be. Given to their weakness in their feeling functions, they also tend to be extremely isolated. They have maybe 3, 4, 5 friends with whom they spend a lot of time, and that's pretty much it, because it is extremely difficult for an INTJ to actually accept someone because they tend to be very easily disappointed. That's also connected to their weak extroverted feeling. Their extroverted feeling is their weakest function, and extroverted feeling is connected to camaraderie and positive feelings, positive emotions, and expressing positive emotions. So they are in some way allergic to that. And they avoid any manifestation of positive sentiments. So that's one thing that splits INTPs from INTJs and INTJs from INTPs. The heightened negativity of INTJs that is actually not a true negativity. They are a little bit nihilistic maybe, but to them their negativity actually builds an internal state of calm and peace. So it's their Buddhist way. Nihilism and negativity are the Buddhist way of an INTJ. They feel far better when they're submerged in their negative thoughts than they do when they're thrown into a jolly and playful environment. That's the kryptonite of an INTJ. Jolly and funny and fun environments. They may go with people, obviously, and have fun also, but their idea of fun is extremely different from what everybody else is going to consider fun. From an exclusively emotional point of view. So the INTJ might be the person that is sitting at a corner when there is a party going on, and they are not participating to the emotional atmosphere. And when you go to them and you ask them, are you having fun? They're probably going to answer, yeah, it's a pretty nice environment, because they don't give a damn and they do not give importance to their emotional participation into the thing. Maybe it's an environment that stimulates their attraction to the people around them. They're attracted to the situation by itself because there's movement, because there's people dancing, because there's something going on that they consider positive. But at the same time, they're not going to display it externally. INTJs are highly cold. So if INTPs look haughty and distant, INTJs actually look ice cold and distant. And that's because an INTP may be able to share the emotional atmosphere, but they're aloof and lost in their thought because they're trying to understand what is behind the emotional atmosphere. So they look a little bit haughty because they are there, but they're looking down to everything. So that's how it looks, because they are analyzing the situation. and they always have this analytical turn of mind, whereas the INTJ instead tends to be a little bit more withdrawn. They may look like they're idiots because that's what they are going to show you. They're going to show you the facade of someone stupid when instead they're highly intelligent. And their judgments are going to be submissed and not expressed externally. They're never going to tell you what they actually think. They're going to be analyzing everything, but they're going to look like they're this lost thing that just is aloof and doesn't participate into the thing. That's what you will see when you see an INTJ. They look cold and aloof, whereas an INTP would look haughty and analytical. Maybe bitchy even. That's something I've heard about INTPs, and they're not. The funny thing is that they are not. They're just thinking. So anyway, I don't want to go too far, to digress too much from our topic that are INTJs. So back to our INTJs. Possible types for INTJs. Enneagram 5, proposition. That's the first type that I think of when I think of an INTJ. For a very long time, I believed that they couldn't be this type. But then when I analyzed the type better, the Enneagram better, I actually understood that Enneagram 5 is a very high possibility. Another very possible Enneagram for them is Enneagram 4. Enneagram 4 is a highly possible Enneagram. For INTJs, because of their introverted feeling, in the secondary position, that makes them a little bit worried about the feelings realm. Another type that they could be is Enneagram 6, because of their nihilism and their neurosis about possible negative outcomes and possible things that could happen to them that they do not want to happen to them. So I would say pole position Enneagram 5, second place Enneagram 4, third place Enneagram 6, and these are the absolutely most likely Enneagrams for an INTJ. With whom do INTJs get along? With anyone that uses extroverted thinking. That's basically how they work. If someone uses extroverted thinking, they should not expect the INTJ to be their best friend for life, because again, they're creative in that area and they like to change groups and they like to change situations, or they're prone to that anyway. So anyone that uses extroverted thinking anyway is going to get along with an INTJ, and they're also going to get along very well with people that use introverted feeling. Best types obviously are ENTJ, ESFP, and ISFP. Not so well with ISFP as one may think, because they need a lot of reassurance in the ethical realm, and this reassurance can only come from an ESFP. The ESFP has the ability to take the INTJ's issues the right way and provide the right answer, whereas an ISFP maybe goes a little bit more in depth or provides too much of their personal position, whereas the INTJ actually needs a colder and less static answer. But anyway, they do get along. So this is pretty much with whom INTJs get along. Their name is the ESFJ. If you want to know more about it, I would invite you to watch my ESFJ video. So I think I will close this here and I will talk to you soon. Bye.